Hello and welcome back again to my week 2 lesson. And today we're going to learn about types and declarations. This week, you will be introduced to the C++ types. You learned about the fundamental types such as Boolean, character types, integer, floating point, void, and sizes. You will be introduced to declarations and learn structures of declaration. And you will learn declaring multiple names, name scope, initialization, uh, and so on. So let's start with data types. And today about data types. Data types refer to the various forms of data that can be represented. Data types refers to the various forms of data that can be represented in a language. Examples include integer, float, and boolean. We have categories of data types. We have the integral types. We have the integral and floating point types, and we have the enumeration and classes, and we have the fundamental types. For the integral types, you have examples as integers, characters, and boolean, and we have the integral and floating point types, and they are the arithmetic types, and we have the enumeration and classes, and they are also the user defined types, and we have the fundamental types, which are the pointers and references, and they are also called built-in types. We have data sets. Data sets, they are the specific range. They specify the range of values a data type is composed of. Each data type has its data sets, and we have examples such as integers, which are whole numbers. We have floating point. Uh, in the floating point, we have two types. We have the floating point with float, and they are decimal numbers with single position. And you have the floating points, which are double, and they are decimal numbers with double positions. And we have data sets, and more of them are the character, which are letters, numbers, symbols. You have the boolean, which is the true or false data set. You have the string, which is the combination of characters. Okay, so data sizes specify the amount of memory a data is allocated in a data type. Each data type has its data size. Using size of keyword determines the size of fundamental data types. And you have data sizes, and the integer uses 4 bytes of data size. The floating point for the float uses 4 bytes, and the floating point which has a double uses 8 bytes. And we have the character uses 1 byte, and boolean uses 1 byte. Then the string also uses 32 bytes. And we have the integral types. The integer types, the integer types. The integer type examples are, let's say, minus 2, 0, 35, 85. They are integers, and integers with a positive integer. Sorry, a positive integer does not have the plus sign in it, as we have the 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 negative integers, which have the negative the number, let's say, symbols, symbols with it. And we have no commas are used within an integer. We should take note of this. No commas are used in integers, and commas are used to separate items in the list. So for integer, I might give you an example, and one example is, let's say, I want to type in a number and refer it as an integer. So for the short form of integer, we have the int, and let's say the number will be named x, which is equal to, let's say, 45. Yes, this is our integer. Okay. And we have floating point types. For the floating point, we have the two types, as I said, but usually it has three types, and I'm gonna explain all of them. We have the float and double and the long double. So the float is a single position, the double is a double position, and the long double is an extended position. And for the float, for the single float, we have the float, which you will name it as a float, as you said earlier. Then let's say amount, sorry, yeah, which is equal to, let's say, 12.876. This is the float, and this one, as I said earlier, has a single precision. Then we have the double, float, double float, which that one you would say it as a double or you won't have the float. Let's say the same thing as salary, then you yeah, so this is how we put in for the double types. And let's move straight to the Boolean types. The Boolean types is known as bool and it has two values, which is the true and the false. The true represents one or yes, and the false represents zero or no. So the Boolean types, bool, then let's say it is raining and you want to say maybe yes. So bool, you bring the bool word, then you type in, let's say it's snowing, then true, yeah. So this is how I can illustrate the bool you. Let's move on straight to characters. For the character type, as simple as that, have the car, and note that the character is the smallest integer type and it is enclosed in single quotes. Let's say gender. So let's say character, then we have gender for the character, then say let's say M for the character. So this is how I can explain the character to you. And we have the string types. The string is used to hold collection of more characters. Yes, it can be used as a collection of more characters. So you have the string which is used in collecting more characters. So let's say string and you want to collect a list of names. So string then name, then let's say Moses, then continue. And note that the string is the numbers, the characters in which you put in for the string. You add a double quote with it to to give the computer the definition as a string. And we have the void, and the void signifies absence of information. So syntactically, a fundamental data type can only be used as part of more complicated type, mostly used in functions. So the void is that the void, then let's say you want to name an integer, let's say x, then you move on with it. So this is how I can talk about the void and have the signed and unsigned. Signed on types. So the signed on types, they are type of modifiers, and signed is used has signed has both positive and negative value, and unsigned only represents non-negative values, which is zero and positive values. For the sign, listen carefully. For the sign is used for positive and negative, and the unsigned represents only zero and positive values. So for the signed integers, you can see sign, and we have numbers. So this is how I can talk about sign on types. And we have the unsigned. So for the unsigned, you just add the un, and this is how you go about it. And let's move on straight to declarations. But before we go to declarations, for the we have composite types. Please note that we have also have composite types, and they compose of the pointers, arrays, and reference types. But we will move on to that in a later lesson. So we have user defined types, and they are data sources and classes. Sorry, and it is used to declare several names in a single declaration. The declaration uses comma for separation and mostly done for similar data types. Please note. So let's say you want to declare something. You just let's say you want to declare a set of integers, but you don't want to do it according to one by one. So you just do it as how I'm going to show you. You just bring in the integers, then you bring comma to separate them to let the computer know that you are adding or you are listing a set of data types, but you want to separate them and make the computer know that it will arrange them. Yeah, and have the scope. So the scope, we have local scope, global scope, class scope, and room scope. Basically, they are used so that, as shown here, so we have the global scope, and then let's say student age for the global scope. Yeah, then you go, let's say it personally for a specific student here. Then this is what we call the local scope. So this is how we can do about the local school. So let's move on straight to declarations. So declarations, let's say you have characters, a character. Let's say this is a character, and then have we bring the string under it. Bring the string under it so that you can collect the names of the members for the character. So this is how we go about a declaration. Okay, we have the initialization. Initialization determines the initial value of an object. It can be used to modify the value of an initializer. Can use one of four syntactic styles. Please note that. So this is today's lesson. Thank you for watching my video. Stay tuned for more.